got really crazy at work. And as the years unfolded, I can remember certain calls like from horrific car crashes, talking to somebody who was literally dying, and I knew he was dying, but I couldn't tell him he was dying. He kept saying, "Am I going to be okay?" And I'm looking at his leg over there, and I'm looking at his, torso's all mangled, and he's dying. And I can't tell him that. You just never tell somebody that. You just stay with him until it's too late. But so I had a lot of like really, really, really traumatic calls, murder, suicides, domestic homicides, horrific sexual batteries. And then there was a call involving a 13-year-old girl. My daughter was going into middle school at this point, I think. No, sorry, she was elementary school still, but she was about fourth grade, I think. And there was a 13-year-old girl who hung herself in the garage. And we got there, and that's even when I'd seen lots of hangings, but I had never seen a child. And it was really, really disturbing. And to make matters worse, we heard chaos in the house because the deputies that got there right before us had moved the family out of the garage into the home. You never want to, the firefighters are trying to do their job and render, trying to save what they could. And mom asked to go to the bathroom. And of course they let her, and she came out with a gun to her head. And now we're in a standoff with mom.
Wow,
Yeah. And we don't want her to kill herself. We don't want her to do, suicide by cop, which sadly we see a lot of. And her husband and her son were about y'all size. They were big boys. And they're trying to get at mom. So we're fighting them, trying to keep them from getting to her because we don't want the gun to accidentally go off. And so we finally got her put the gun down, thank God, and, handled the call as necessary. And again, close the call up, on to the next. And so this went on for years. And then 17 hit, and I finally got into a relationship, and first guy that I've ever allowed to move in with me. And it didn't take me long to realize I had made a huge mistake. So I had broken it off with him, and it was not an easy breakup because he wouldn't go away. And I was dealing with the stress of all that. And then my mom went into ICU, and then my German Shepherd dog died. And on June 1st, 2017, I responded to a call of another 2-year-old drowning. And when we ran into the house, the mom had a knife at her throat, and we're again fighting with another mother who's suicidal. Finally get to the backyard after unarming the mom and go to work on the baby, and the baby doesn't make it. And I knew right away the baby wasn't going to make it. You can just tell when they've been in the water too long. And there was something about that call that was like, for me, the straw that broke the camel's back. And all of the stuff from the breakup to my mom going into ICU to my dog dying and the baby dying all happened in about a 7-day period. And it was like I got punched in the face, and I went down, and before I could stand back up on my feet again, somebody else punched me down. And before I could get up, somebody else punched me down. Any of the other traumas, I had time to recover and get myself back on my feet. But for that period in time for me was just really hard. And I never properly processed any of it, never talked about it. It was the job, and I went on. That one hurt hard. And I went into a really horrible, horrible, dark place, and I couldn't stop crying. And my daughter at this point was 11 years old and had never seen mom cry. I mean, I was like Wonder Woman to her. I wore a cape. She never saw me get down. And if I didn't let her see it. And now all of a sudden I was down, and I couldn't fake it anymore. And that's what I realized. I just couldn't fake it. And I cried, and I was withdrawn, and I wasn't taking phone calls, and I was avoiding people at work. I was going on calls and handling them by myself and canceling my backup because I didn't want my peers to see me the way I was, which is probably not the smartest choice. And then it was about, at some point I did call someone that I trusted, and they told me to go get some Xanax at the doctor's office, and that would help calm me down. So I did that. And then all that did was stop the fears, but it didn't stop the depression. And then long story short, it was about 6 weeks later after the incident, mid-July, when I put my daughter on a plane and I sent her out of state. And I had made up my mind that I was either going to figure out how to get my shit together, or I was going to put myself out of my pain. I had, I hate to use the word voices, but they call them the demons. I had the thoughts that I'm a failure as a mother. I can't even get my shit together. My daughter deserves better than this. So I figured, if I made it look like an accident, the insurance money would take care of her. I had it all figured out. And I was absolutely terrified to talk to anybody that I worked with, because as a critical incident team member, we call it Baker acting in Florida. I don't know what they call it in Texas, but it's when you take somebody to the mental hospital against their will, for mental, a mental check.
A Saturday.
Okay.
No, yeah, I don't know what we call it.
Yeah, we in Florida, it's called a Baker Act. So I had Baker Act hundreds of people in my career, and so I knew that if I told somebody what I was thinking, they were going to haul me off to the local mental hospital, and that was the end of my career, and I would be ashamed and embarrassed, and I would lose everything. And that just for me was not a freaking option. That was not going to happen. Wasn't going to do it. The humility and the embarrassment, the shame. Nope. So I figured out how and what I was going to do. And then I called that best friend I told you about, the SWIT guy. We have maintained friendship all these years. And I called him, and to my surprise, he answered the phone. He was horrible about answering his phone. And he answered his phone that day. And it was a Saturday. And as soon as I started talking, he knew exactly what was up. And he spent 8 hours on the phone with me, telling me that there was a way to get through this without my agency knowing what was going on, without them finding out. I could get help on the down low. I had never been rated by the VA. I had never been to the VA. I didn't qualify for VA services. But he told me that I could go and pay out of my pocket for counseling. So I started doing that at first. And then they put me on meds, and it got me stabilized to where I felt somewhat human again. I, at this point, was talking to other brothers that were team guys and had battled their demons from Just Cause. And they were really good at letting me realize that, I wasn't alone, and they had battled their demons too.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.